Welcome to a new episode of Flipping Miami by Raul Balufe. I am your host, Raul Balufe. And today I have a very special guest. This is his second time on the show. He's a good friend of mine, man. He's a wholesaler, investor, flipper. He also has his own podcast, Pave the Way Podcast, which he interviews also the top dogs in the industry. You've had some really interesting guests, by the way. Kind of stalked the other day about it. Dude, I met this guy a couple years ago in another seminar or real estate event, and we just kind of hit it off, man. It was him and his partner at the time, which I think you guys are still partners even today.
We'll do deals once in a while. We're not like formal partners, but yeah, we're still homies. Talk every day and on deals, made money together. Yeah. So we met and we all kind of hung out. We had a couple of drinks. We chilled. So we've kind of stayed in touch since. And he's a persistent guy. The guy's always putting stuff on social. He's reading all the time. He's doing podcasts. He's wholesaling. He's flipping. He's in the game. So you guys have to follow him. So I got him on. I wanted him to share some ideas, share what's going on, see what's popping, see what's not, what has worked, what hasn't since we last spoke. But yeah, Greg Helbeck is on. I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for coming on. Dude, how you doing, Raul? It's always good to have a conversation with you, man. I mean, we've known each other for 3 or 4 years now. And man, I feel like we always seem to stay in touch no matter what. We're on opposite sides of the country, but we're always connected and trying to add value. So man, it's awesome to come back on as a guest. The last interview I did with you, it was awesome. I got a lot of good feedback from some other folks. They learned a lot from you and I, and happy to do it again, man. This is super fun to do. Yeah,
we were just talking about right before I hit record, we were just talking man, I love the podcast thing. I stopped because it just doesn't make us any money, and it doesn't really make any money.
Exactly.
It's actually cost to make the thing. So I'm like, crap, I got distracted and I stopped recording episodes. I'm like, let me take this time to record a ton of episodes.
Dude, I love that. And I actually did something very similar to you, and I'm just revamping the podcast 2.0 version. It's coming out in a week or so, hopefully. And dude, I did a ton of episodes. Like you said, I had 70 shows out. And I was like, man, this is taking so much time, and I didn't have it systematized. Now I do, with my VAs, but I'm like, I got to shut this down for now. I have all these deals going on, and I have all this private money, and I need to figure this out. So I shut the show down for a while, and it's relaunching now. But yeah, it's you got to find that balance. I think that the number one thing is just know that even though the podcast content is going out today, that might not be putting something in your bank today. It's going to plant those seeds over time to where however you want to monetize it, it'll come back. You just got to kind of wait. And that's kind of the mindset I had to embrace. And now I'm more open to it,
Yeah, dude, that's good. I mean, one little example is I do this free meetup once a month for local investors, realtors, whatever. And I always get questions after hey, Ro, why do you do this for free? I feel like I owe you something because I get a ton of it, honestly. And people don't know this. I've actually never said this, but it took me 9 months to even make $1 single off the meetup. And I never did it for the money, but I ended up getting a $9,000 deal from it. But then 2 months later, so after a year of doing the meetup for free, not really seeing much, I got a student out of it who was awesome. His name is Robert. And me and Robert ended up, he was my student for a couple months, and we ended up doing one massive deal together. So it took a year. Do you have any experiences like that as far as with your podcast or some kind of meetup or something that took you a long time to see something in return?
Yeah, totally, dude. So actually that's a great story. So I was really kind of struggling with the raising private money thing, and because I didn't put any content out. No one knew about me. They didn't know what I did, how I did it. They couldn't kind of study me before they reached out, to kind of get perceived as the guy who actually is doing deals and not just some dude who's just asking for money. So dude, for months and months and months and months, even probably a year, I just would put content out, and I didn't really do it strategically like Frank Kern talks about with making offers and things like that. But then eventually, dude, one day I literally got a call, people watch my content, and this dude came into some dough, to the tune of a couple million. And he's like, I want to invest it. So basically I got a guy with millions of dollars who's willing to go into any deal with me, assuming it's a good deal. Just from being out there and putting my name out and putting out content and things like that. So, between that and then other private lenders, that I've got from putting out content and just asking and things like that. I mean, but that's down the line. That didn't happen the day I launched my show or the first 20 episodes. It was years and like a year of seeing the content and seeing the goodwill I'm trying to genuinely help people with and things like that. Now it's like, okay, I can hit my phone up and get some money for some deals. And I'll also start monetizing it. I'm going to come out with some info products, which I'm in the middle of launching now, that'll genuinely help people. But I think if you have the mindset where you're going to give the upfront value first and build that goodwill of genuinely helpful information. I've learned all this from Frank Kern. I didn't make this up. Like, no matter what you're going to do on the back end, whether you want to sell something or raise money, like, it'll be a lot easier because you already have that upfront goodwill with your audience. And then the people who want to buy or the people who want to invest will just kind of do it voluntarily. And the type of prospect you'll be dealing with is it's an easy sale because they know you, they like you, they trust you, they know what it's about, and they feel comfortable either investing with you or buying from you or being coached by you. And I think that's the thing that's hard for people to do, including myself. It's like, put out that goodwill and take those calls for free and volunteer to help someone without getting paid right away. But it's like, you know what? You got to be a believer in that giving mentality. And when you are, it'll come back. You just got to stay patient.
I love that, man. There's a lot of good key points there. Like,
thanks,
that's a bold statement, man. That's a bold statement. And like, you know, because like working for free or what people believe is free, something like, why do you think that people have such a hard time with that thought? You know, like, you know, something I say, there's two ways to get into any industry, but it's called real estate investing. Two ways, if you're completely brand new, don't know a single thing, don't have single dollars. Two ways. First way is you work for somebody. You work for a company or another investor. Well, the second way is you get a mentor or coach. You can always learn for free on YouTube and stuff, but if you really want to almost guarantee success, you do those two ways.
You need a coach, yeah.
You need a coach. And then I tell people, look, the other way is you go work for somebody for free or like volunteer or do that. But but free. What's your take on that? Like, why do you think they have such a hard time? Like, that is like
that's a good question.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. So I'll give you two answers because there's two different types of people who are kind of who are going to be kind of dealing with this. If you're brand new and you've never made money on your own, you have never made $100,000 before or $200,000, whatever. Like, if you've never made six figures especially on your own, like making six figures at a job is one thing. Making six figures by doing your own thing is completely different because you're essentially in control of your own destiny. So if you've never done that before, you're going to be the way you've been compensated in the past, most likely is that you've traded time for money. So anytime you put input into your job, output was money. It wasn't a lot of money, most likely, but it was money. Whether that was a salary or you get an X amount of dollars per hour, you know, working at a company. So when you're used to making money that way and you have to go work for free, you're just behaving in a way that's not congruent with your current beliefs. And you think subconsciously you need to get paid because you're working, but they don't understand, new people, that, you know, you get paid as an entrepreneur to solve problems and add value. And if you don't have that, I just literally did an Instagram video before we hopped on the show directly about this, being a problem solver. And if you don't understand that's how you make money as an entrepreneur, and you just think that because you work, you make money, it's going to be difficult for you to work for free because your subconscious mind thinks that because you work, you should get compensated right away for your time, and you get paid for your value, not your time. So that's number one. Number two is if you're kind of making money in real estate and maybe you're making a couple $100,000 a year and, you know, you don't have to work again, like at a 9-to-5 job. And, you know, you kind of think that, you know, if I can't make money right now, like I'm doing in real estate, it's not worth my time. And you kind of get like this habit where like, oh, if I'm not making money right now, like I'm doing in real estate, this has got to be a waste of time. Because then you start to think like, and this happens with me, like I start to like, I'm like, oh, well, you know, my time per hour is $1,000 an hour. And if I'm not doing something that's worth $1,000 an hour, like doing a marketing campaign, I'm stupid and I'm wasting my time and I'm not going to make my $500,000. And then you get into this vicious feedback loop. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm editing a podcast, which is a bad use of time. And Darren Hardy said that you need to be doing, like, you know, and you start believing all the stuff you've read and it just turns into this whole disaster. And like, you know, I'm not saying that's bad. Any of that stuff is bad, but you need to just go back to the basics and focus on giving value first. And if you can pay the bills and your business is fine and you're not, you know, going bankrupt or something, God forbid, then you can have a side project and like not worry about making money in the beginning, because over time, just like in your real estate business, when you started, when you got good at solving problems, the money started showing up. So I think there's two situations that happen, and hopefully those two make sense for some of the listeners listening to this. I kind of rambled there.
No, I think it makes perfect sense. Honestly, I think the way that you broke it down, you might need to rewind and listen to it twice, but it makes good sense. No, but And also, kind of what Greg is saying is, there's time. There's an exchange of money for time and in the work life.
Yeah.
But you don't have to calculate every single minute. Like, you don't have to see everything as one. We spend 1 hour podcasting. None of us are making $1 out of this. Oh, we're horrible people. We're the worst. Yeah. No, this is something that like both of us probably get some kind of fulfillment out of. And we're helping out, listening. So there's so many things into it. And I want to back up a little bit because I miss, and just in case there's listeners listening that are not clear what it was, and I'm sorry to change the subject here, but he was talking about like private money and all this. For those of you who don't know, private money is basically a lender or a person that has a good amount of money. In Greg's case, was a guy that came across a couple million and who knows what. But a private lender is basically someone who's willing to lend you or an investor the money for a return on the money. It could either be an equity or a percentage interest rate. So my bad to kind of change it, but I want to make sure I didn't miss anything for the listeners. Can you go into a little bit of how you've used private money to like flip houses or?
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, I think that's a subject that's not, it's talked about, but I feel like it's not like that genuine on the, on the information.
It's not as popular as wholesaling contracts. Yeah, no, totally. Yeah. So private money, you described it perfectly. It's you're just essentially borrowing money from usually an individual for either a return or a percentage of the profit. And the reason it's effective and the reason why it's very valuable to have as an investor is that you can take down deals that you probably couldn't have otherwise taken down because you have access to that capital. So the point of all that is it gives you options when you're marketing and you're getting deals sent across your desk. Is like, you don't have to be in a situation where you're like, oh my God, like I can only wholesale this for 15 grand because that's what buyer number A is offering me. You can look at the deal from multiple different angles and say, I can rehab this thing, and assuming the comps are accurate, I can make $50,000 net profit after I pay my investor his 12% return. Or I can buy this thing, renovate it, and get it rented out, and then go to a local bank and refinance and get all my cash out, and I'll have a rental property at that point. So it allows you to make your marketing more effective. It allows you to ultimately make more money. And it's beneficial if you kind of compare it to like the traditional hard money, which we can get into if you want, because you can negotiate the terms with your lender. Like my different lenders I work with, we have different terms. Like you don't have to always make a monthly payment. You can negotiate all the payments on the back end. You can negotiate the points up front. You can negotiate maybe an equity split if they still want more skin in the game. So you can get creative with your lenders, and you just got to find out like kind of what their expectations are, what they'd like to get out of their money that they're not achieving right now. And then just show them, number one, that you're a credible person who's going to do what they say they're going to do. And number two, show them how your investment vehicle is going to be able to provide a better return than they're currently getting and solve a problem that they ultimately want to solve. So usually the lenders that I deal with is either IRA investors or it's guys with just straight cash who want to get into real estate, or people, sometimes it's investors who don't know how to market because they haven't been doing it for a half a decade. And they just want to get into deals, but they just don't know how to do deals. So like they find guys like me and you who know how to get deals, and then they partner with us and we get them in the game, without having to be like principals. They can just be kind of on the sidelines. So it's probably one of the most important skills you can have, because if you have access to money, you can go out and do as many deals as you want, assuming you're getting good deals, because you got to treat your lenders. I take my lenders' money more seriously than my own money. Like I've paid cash for properties, and like, dude, I've probably rolled the dice a few times and done all right, but when I get a lender involved, bro, like I'm like, I got to have like 3 exit strategies. It's got to be like at least 70 cents on the dollar. Like,
perfect.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Because it's like, that's so important. It's somebody else's money. You have to treat that like with just like, it's a golden goose. Cause it is, man. You got to protect people's capital, brother.
Yeah. Dude. And that's so good. And like, I think we're filming this during Corona times, but like, these times more than ever, I realize how important cash is. Like that cash is king quote. It's like, yeah, you're wholesaling, you're making deals. You're like, whatever, just king, yeah. But yes, it's funny enough. Yesterday I spoke to a guy. He was a buyer. I met him for the first time. We sent out a text blast for some deal, whatever. And he, he's like, hey man, he was very aggressive in like a businessy way, very aggressive. Hey, Raul, I got your message. Look, man, I didn't make this Corona thing happen. I had to fire a bunch of people, but I have cash. I have access to $3 million that I've made in my companies. I have an internet, blah, 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 blah. And I'm ready to buy, like if you're willing to work with me, I'll deploy cash with you and I'll buy properties. And I started thinking like, this kind of a dick, but permission to be a dick because he has cash. And it doesn't mean like you have to be mean to people, but in the sense of like, that's exactly what he wants, properties, and he can get it basically, right? Like he doesn't have to beat around the bush. He can get it. And it just made me realize, man, cash is so fucking important when it comes to business. I guess like, what's your take on that? Like, did you always focus on getting like cash for private money? Like, how did these new thoughts come up and stuff?
I love it, man. I love this where this conversation is going. No, I would wholesale the first couple of years because I just needed to build my base. And we can talk personal finance too. I have a whole system I use for that too that'll be helpful for the listeners. But I started getting into the private money game when I looked at how much money I was leaving on the table by wholesaling a lot of properties. And just saying like, cause it's like, dude, the way I look at it, and this people disagree with me here and it's all good. It's all, everyone has different approaches, but if you get a lead, okay. And let's say the lead costs like $100, whatever, round numbers. If you can turn that lead that you got for $100 into a $10,000 payday or a $45,000 payday, you're making more than 4 times the same amount of money. You're making 4 times the amount of money on the same lead that you already had. So I feel like by doing different exit strategies, not, because if you can only get 10,000 wholesaling it, but you have the ability to buy the property and make $40,000, 45 grand, you're over 4xing the return on the same lead that you already got. So essentially you're giving yourself like a 4 times payday. So like, and the way you're able to do that is to raise money or borrow hard money, which I've done successfully too. Like, and I've also done some hard money deals where I was nervous. So you're just setting yourself up to be able to make more money with the leads that you're ultimately generating, which in my opinion is the hardest part of this business, is the marketing and sales aspect, because it's expensive, it's tedious, it's a whole other animal. And quite frankly, it's kind of a pain in the neck. I'd rather just be able to just buy deals off other people, but I don't want to be out of my own deal flow, out of control of my own deal flow. So you're just setting yourself up to be able to maximize your leads and ultimately make more money. And like something I need to do, which is I need to get my act together, is getting more rental properties via the burst strategy, because it's essentially rehabbing, but instead of selling, you just refinance. And it's how you build the real wealth. I think a lot of us know how to build wealth, but when it comes to like doing the day-to-day things, which is renting the property instead of flipping it, we choose to flip it because we choose the $20,000 today over the 250 grand in equity on a free and clear rental in 20 years. And it's tough to make those decisions. So I'm battling with that myself.
That's good. Yeah. I can resonate with that so much, man. I mean, I think it's just to being naive and starting off and wholesaling and all that. And because hard money is different than private money in the sense of hard money is typically a company and they have their term sheets and they have different things. They have like their business model set up. Private money, like Greg mentioned, it's usually just a person, a dude or a girl that has some money or family money, or access to cheap money or something. Let me ask you this, dude. What was like the story of like, how did you find your first private lender, like your first private dude? Like how was that story? Because mine was pretty messy, and I can share it after, but I want to know what yours was like.
Yeah, man. So I would put out on Facebook, like, I'm looking for some investors who want to invest with me. Like, I was just direct about it. Like, hey, I'm doing deals. I'm looking for some lenders who want to get involved in the game. And people would see that on social and they would reply to me and they'd say, hey, I got money, or hey, my dad's got money, or whatever. Or my uncle's got money. And they would see my content and they like, I genuinely would start, like in the beginning of this podcast, help them by actually helping them, and don't ask for something right away. Show you can help them first. Learned that from Frank Kern. And then like, so my first lender, it was my buddy's dad. And my buddy was like, hey, my dad would probably be interested in loaning on this thing. Can we look at the numbers? And I had him look at the property, and he was like, all right, man, let's do it. And like, he looked at the numbers. He understood real estate. Like, he wasn't an idiot. And he kind of knew like I was getting the house basically half off. And it's like, you can't lose, because like, even if he had to foreclose, God forbid, like he's got the property at such a deep price, knock on wood, So he trusted me. He's like, dude, you seem like, you're a credible guy and I trust you, and, this is a good deal and let's do it. So I paid him a couple points and like a percentage rate, all on the back end. And we bought the property with his own money. We came to the table with the points and then and the attorney fees and things like that. And we rehabbed the house, and it had a couple hiccups. Like in the rehab phase, there were some issues with the property that we didn't know about, but it still was fine because of the price we paid for it. And we paid him back, and he got a return, and he saw that we successfully bought and sold the property. And, he's been hounding me ever since to do another project. So he's like, basically, hey man, I got money, let's do it. Like, I like this is cool. And he got a great return on his money. And like, I think I probably paid him more than the traditional private money terms, but I don't care because I made 75 or 80 grand on the deal. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, so it's like, I paid him a lot of money in interest, but I don't care because I made $80,000. So what does it matter to me? If I could have made maybe 90 if I had better terms, but I don't care. Like, I'm not a greedy person. I don't need to make a home run on every single deal. And if I can have someone who's willing to back me on deals, like, I don't care if I got to pay him 12%. So who cares? It all has to do with the numbers. So yeah, he got a great deal on his interest. I got a phenomenal deal on the profit, and everyone did well on the file. So it was a good one. So that was my first private money deal.
That's cool. Sure. That's cool. Yeah. And you said a lot of things about like showing people that you can do the deal. I think Matt Terrio, Epic Real Estate, talks about it. He says like, Get the deal first, then ask for the money. Dude,
I think that is the best advice you could get in this business, because everyone tries to get the buyers before the sellers and this and that. It's like, get the damn deal and then look at it, and then the money will find you. I love that quote. I feel like everyone should get that tattooed on their forehead and look at it in the mirror. If there is.
I think in podcast number 3 with Greg, I'm going to see it on his forehead.
Dude. Tattoo. Yeah, like a gang tattoo. Exactly.
I love that. Yeah, man, get the deal first. Learn. And that's why I think wholesaling first without thinking about private money is completely okay. I think hone the skill about the marketing and the sales, or getting the deal, or analyzing. Hone that skill. Do a couple deals, and then you start thinking about the private money. Just be aware. And get the deal before you're going to ask for the money. Have your numbers put together that if you go to a bar, you can write it on the back of a napkin. Hey, I'm going to buy it at 100. I'm going to rehab it for 20. We're going to sell for 200. I'm going to give you a 12% return. This is how much you're going to make. Like, very simple business plan. You come up for that property. That's been the best way I've seen for us to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. And I try to keep everything super simple. And I like how you mentioned get a couple wholesale deals under your belt first, because you'll see how it works. And I agree with that. I think that's phenomenal. That's exactly what I did. That's what you did. But the thing is, even if you want to keep wholesaling, if you have the ability to take the property down, you can make more money wholesaling, because you can put it out for a high number. And if someone wants to pay that number and you take it off your hands as an assignment, like, cool, I'll make my 30 grand. But if you know it's a good deal and you can buy it anyway and you can make your 50, then you have more options when you're wholesaling it. Like, you can wholesale it for a home run assignment fee, or if you can't get that home run assignment fee, which might not happen now with the coronavirus, you can buy it yourself and still make money on it. And it gives you so much more leverage when you're dealing with cash buyers. Because like the wholesalers that get crushed the most are the ones who have a terrible buyers list and they have one exit strategy, and it's to wholesale it. And essentially they're at the mercy of somebody else. And they're really like, it's a tough position to win in. And I've been there. I'm sure you've been there, and it happens to everyone.
Hell yeah. Yeah. And these are all like little things that are going to happen. If you're listening to this and you've done a few deals, or you're just getting started, haven't done a deal, or maybe you've done 1 million deals, this is just something that's going to happen. It's sometimes not talked about openly. A deal's going to get messy. Your buyer might back out. If you don't have access to funds, you're not going to hit the goals that you probably getting into this to hit. You understand? Like, for the freedom, for the time, for good income. If you don't have access to money, that gets a lot harder in this business, man. Because if you're just depending on wholesale the whole way out,
dude,
it's a tough road.
You're in trouble. Yeah, you are. I think that what you just said there was probably some of the most valuable information for people looking to get into real estate, especially if they're just concentrated strictly on wholesaling. If I just did wholesaling, I wouldn't have half the freedom I'd have today because of the ability to buy and flip and rehab and save. It's just, you have more options, and it's wholesaling is just getting a good deal. And if you can get good at getting good deals, which is just marketing, really, the money, you can get the money. Like, it's because the deal is what sells the money. Like, I don't have my lenders invest in shit deals because I wouldn't do the deal myself. So I'm like I'm doing deals all over the country now. I'm not, there's some areas I'm just wholesaling in because I don't know the area that well to buy on it. And I would never get an investor in that. I wouldn't want to get an investor in a deal that I wouldn't get into myself, So, you just got to be very careful and understand that if you can get the deals, the money is going to be like 10 times easier to get because the money will find the good deal.
Yeah. And that's kind of like the silver lining. I don't want to scare you if you're listening to this, like, oh my God, I want to get to wholesaling now, private money. No, learn how to wholesale. And here's a silver lining. Once you get good at getting your first deal and your second deal, getting the money is so easy. It's not like, if you have a
so
deal
easy.
that's 50, 60, 70 cents on the dollar in a good area or whatever, you can really put a post on Facebook, like Greg says. You could put a post on like the wholesale Facebook group. You could, you could reach out to your local community, put on Craigslist. Like, you will have money.
It's so easy. Oh my God. It is so easy. You honestly, it's almost like the money will not automatically going to find you, but like if it's because like if you reach out to Raul or someone who has experience and like, they were like, hey, got this deal. And you looked at it or I looked at it and I'm like, oh my God, that's a killer deal. Are you sure there's no title issues? And they're like, no, we're good. Of course I'd want to like lend on it or find a lender for you. Like, it's the good deal is what attracts all of the investors and all of the healthy returns and the profits. It's the discount you're buying the house at.
Love that. Greg, I want to ask you something kind of changing gears here. And we were talking about it a little bit earlier. We were talking a little bit about Frank Kern and online marketing stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, let's say you weren't to do wholesale anymore or fix and flipping. What do you think you'd see yourself doing? Let's say maybe, I don't know, 5 years from now, Donald Trump says, or I don't know if he's still president or not, but let's say Donald Trump or whoever's president says, hey, no more wholesaling, no more fix and flipping. What do you think Greg would do, man? Like, what kind of line of work would you go into?
Can I buy rentals or no real estate?
I think, no, rentals you could buy, but it won't be like your main profession.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, what would be your active income? What would be your
selling things on the internet? Guaranteed. Selling stuff on the internet, courses, consulting, doing marketing for people, writing sales copy for people, just doing marketing for people. So number one, selling products of my own that genuinely help people at a reasonable price. And number two, doing marketing for people, like building out campaigns for people and other businesses, writing sales copy, which is something I do right now, which is awesome. Doing that. And having probably the same, if not more income by doing that than wholesaling. So it wouldn't faze me too much. I mean, I'll still do real estate deals probably forever, but that is what I would definitely be doing. Like for sure. I don't think I would get into like drop shipping or any of that Amazon stuff. Just not that it doesn't work, but I just think anytime you're in a business that is dependent upon an 800-pound gorilla like Amazon or eBay or something, you're at the mercy of the 800-pound gorilla. And if they change one metric, you're a fart in the wind. So definitely info marketing and then like copywriting and stuff like that. I think that stuff is awesome. Honestly, I think it's so cool.
I love it. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
Dude. So, and then let's see kind of what does your business life look like now? So I know you do fix and flip. I know you do wholesale. You got some private lending that you lend on. And what does your business life look like now? Are you investing in San Diego? Are you investing in different markets?
Yeah. So the primary business, and like I said, since this Corona thing, we've had a little bit of a slowdown. It hasn't been anything crazy, but definitely a decrease in not necessarily contracts, but definitely like closed deals because the buyers have not been very good to us. Hit velocity house buyers recently. So that's been a problem I've been actively trying to solve. So really the main bread and butter is doing wholesales and rehabs up in the Northeast where I'm from originally. That's where the most money is made with the least amount of effort and the least amount of resistance. I'm also doing some wholesaling in the Midwest. I'm testing different markets in Iowa right now and Oklahoma, just primarily to see if I can turn my ad dollars a lot quicker in those markets by having a very cheap cost per acquisition because those markets aren't that saturated. So that's been like a little marketing test we've been getting contracts on over there. And then in California, I'm doing one deal out here in the San Diego area. It's a piece of land I'm doing. I bought it on seller financing and I'm selling it right now in the MLS. So really, I haven't hit California that much, just a little bit of marketing, and I got one deal out here so far. But primary, it's the New York area is where most of the money is being made because the margins are big up there. I know the area. Everyone up there knows who I am and they lend money and they trust me up there. So probably it's 50, like as in wholesale versus like buy and flip or buy and wholesale. And as the market changes, which is I'm doing more wholesaling up there, and saving a lot more money so I can buy and hold more deals as well. So, that's been something that because unfortunately coronavirus has impacted the deal, the successful transaction closings, because we're getting more contracts, but the sales side has been terrible. Because of that, I've had to wholesale some stuff for cash flow purposes. But really, if it was up to me right now, I would be looking to do the burr on pretty much everything. but I have to wholesale some stuff just to keep the lights on here. So that's kind of where we're at right now with deals.
And something I've always gathered with you and I admire it is like how you've been able to turn the business into such a good lifestyle type business.
Yeah.
Everyone has different definitions for that, but every time we've chatted, you've always kind of shared on how you've been doing it and doing deals virtually, and you travel different places and you moved to San Diego. And a lot of that comes in because you're probably good at doing deals virtually, closing on the phone, marketing, sales, but also because you're probably good at like managing the finances and all that stuff. How big? I'm
big on that, dude. That's the most. I never talk about that. I don't know why, but dude, that. And I'm not even some business cash flow expert, but like I just kind of learned this from Profit First, the book, and I've been implementing for like 5 years. And yeah, dude, managing cash flow and like setting up buckets allows me to like have a bad month and like I don't even think about it twice because I don't have a lot of overhead and the profits are so big. Like the net profit for the company is so big compared to the overhead. Like if we have a bad month, I'm not bothered by it, because of the way that I've set up the systems to where like when the deals are rocking on all cylinders, money is getting allocated into certain areas personally and company wise to where like, I'm trying to set myself up to where like, I have enough reserves and cash flow, like to where like I can, if I didn't want to, I could chill out for a very long time and not have to do anything. And I've been trying to do that system. I've been implementing that system to where that could be a reality for a while now. Yeah. And I think I'm very thankful for that because with this coronavirus, I think a lot of people are, the businesses are getting impacted a little bit, nothing crazy like some other industries, but I've been serious about cash flow management for the last like 4 years since I've really been like actively doing like real estate business.
I love that. And he mentioned, there's a lot of good things, the buckets thing. There's a book called Profit First by Mike McCalloway.
That's a great book. Yeah.
Great book. And it breaks down basically how to manage money and business accounts to like a third grader. It's extremely simple. I mean, none of us probably have any relation with that book or anything, but it's helped. It helped me big time as well. It's a huge realization. Like pay yourself first, the tax buckets, all these things is like, it's common sense, but I don't understand why we don't do it. It's so strange.
I think because it's so much money you can make, especially when you're young, you're like, holy shit. I just put 30 G's in the bank. Like 30 G's would have taken me a gazillion years to make at the golf course. You know what I mean? So I think it's like kind of jaw dropping. And then when you really see like after you save the money and pay the taxes and pay a little bit of overhead and put some money in your checking account, like, it's still good money. But, when you do that, 100 times, you're like, okay, like you try to build up the reserves to where like you can weather the storm, not if, but when the storm comes. And I think the economic cycle we're in now is dictating that could potentially happen.
Love that. And just to get like into the nitty gritty of it, if you guys don't understand.
I'll walk you through the whole thing, dude. Yeah.
I love it.
I'll walk you through the whole thing.
And your bank account number, your ABA.
Yeah. Routing number. Yes.
Routing. Your
social information.
But yeah, so basically the huge premise, and we'll get into it, is basically the buckets. And I think Mike, he talks about, I think it's 4 different buckets that are like the core. You got an income account, you have a profit account, a tax account, and income, tax, profit. And then I think it was like was it the rainy day account or something like that? Or no, expenses. OPEX.
Expenses.
Yeah,
OPEX.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So and then you could structure it for your business, for anyone's business, but that's kind of like the overall principle. And then once you get in a check, let's say you get, and actually Tom Ferry, the real estate coach.
Yeah.
Awesome video on YouTube about this. Basically, once you get in a check, let's say you get a $10,000 assignment check. It talks about how you could set up percentages to split up on each account.
Yep.
Can you run us a little bit through?
I've been doing that almost since the day I started getting involved in real estate, like dividing, allocating. I call it just allocating capital. Like I said, I learned it mostly from that book. And it's funny. I'll get into the system in a second. I read that book, and this is for new investors listening to this. This is like gold for you if you just implement what I say. I read that book before I started making money. So once I started making money, I already knew what I was going to do with it. Because I remember reading the book, I'm like, yeah, but this doesn't apply to me. Like, I've never made $1 in real estate. I don't get it. And then once I started doing deals, I was like, oh my God, I know exactly what to do with this. So what I do with it, So what I do with it is basically a wire will come in or a check will come in, and I take let's say it's just 50 grand, for example. Let's just make the numbers easy. I'll take a percentage of that and I stick it right into a tax account. And that, as much as it sucks, dude, you got to pay your taxes, especially in the flipping business. You're going to get hammered in taxes because it's ordinary income. And at the end of the day, hopefully you have to pay a lot to the government because that means you made a lot of money, in the flipping business. In the rental business, it's completely different. You're trying to pay the least amount. But in flipping, you want to be profitable. Money goes, I usually take 25 to 30%. Disclaimer, I'm not a CPA or an attorney, so I do at your own risk. But I take 25 to 30%, put it in a tax account. The second thing I do is I take a good chunk of that money. Like I don't know the percentage, but I take a good chunk of that money. I stick that right in a savings account, right in the bank, directly into the bank. Don't even flinch. Boom, right in the bank. And then I take the third thing I'll do is I'll take the third portion of the money and I'll put it back into the company for overhead and for marketing and for recouping ad spend and paying the bills and paying VAs and all that. So that's the third thing I'll do. Then I'll take the fourth thing. I'm just off the top of my head here. I believe the fourth thing, what I'll do is I will take the money and I'll put it into like my bills / personal checking account. So I have two personal checking accounts. One is for my bills like rent, car payment, insurance, all that stuff. Then the other account is for like personal expenses, like going out to dinner and, getting the oil changed and stuff like that. So then I have two different checking accounts, put money into those accounts. The third one, the fifth one, I think, or wherever number we're on, I'll do fun. I'll allocate money just for fun, for going out, boozing up, doing some black belt partying, whatever I want to do. Just fun, going on vacation. I think the last one I'll do is giving, like money to give. And I always have leftover money to give. So I put that in a separate bank account. That's to give to people, to charities, people going on through this coronavirus, just to give money away. Like sometimes I'll literally like just give money away to someone I think needs it, like a homeless guy or whatever. Like you got to give in order to receive. So I'll allocate money. I have a bank account called the Give account. And then that builds up so then you can give a lot more over time. And then I think anything left over, I'll use for I'll just put it back into the business or whatever. It's usually like $1,000 at that point, and then dude, all that money is allocated and all those accounts are replenished. And then to think about it, if you're doing 2, 3, 4 deals a month, you can start to build those accounts up to where your company's profitable. Your company's got a lot of cash in it, assuming you don't have a lot of overhead. You got a lot of money in savings. You got a lot of money in your personal checking. You got a lot of money in your bills account. You got a lot of money in your fund account. So you're just building those accounts up to where if there's an economic issue, assuming you don't have a lot of overhead, you can survive for a while because you have that cash. So that, dude, I've been doing that system I just described for 4 years, and it has been so important because there's been months that have been horrible, financially, and then there's been months that have been phenomenal, and then there's been bad months, and that system has allowed me to sustain the business to where it's operating and it's profitable.
That's such a good description. We probably both listened to a bunch of podcasts. I've listened to a bunch of podcasts and gone to events. I don't think anyone really has talked about splitting up money that way, especially in that detail and bank accounts and what they're called. And I don't know. I literally can't even stress how important doing something like that is. Dude, I don't even have words to describe it. What is that? What you doing that for building that discipline for 4 years? Because it is a discipline.
It is a discipline.
What has that been what has that allowed you? How has that affected your life? And what has it allowed you to do?
100% freedom, dude. There's still ups and downs in business and life, right? But that financial, not financial freedom from the rental perspective, because I'm still working on that, but knowing how much money you need to get by versus how much money you have in reserves, and knowing that you have 12, 15, 18, 24 months of pure freedom based on your current lifestyle, it allows you to make better decisions because you don't have to knock on wood, worry about where the money's coming from because it's been saving and growing in income. Dude, total freedom, peace of mind. Business wise, I can see what my current run rate is, how much cash is in the bank versus how much expenses are. And at this given point, how much longer could this company stay, exist profitably for? So that, dude, it's been the most beneficial thing I've done from a personal finance perspective. I mean, it's allowed me to not have to worry about going on vacation because I have that money allocated. It's allowed me to take more risks in marketing because I have, the capital to do that. So it just allows you to make smarter decisions And you don't have to be doing this for 5 years to do what I'm explaining now and be like, oh, well, he's been doing business for 5 years and he's got all this experience. No, like I started doing this from day one. So like that's how I was allowed to move to California. Like I would save money up every month from my real estate deals to like have enough money for 1 year's worth of rent to move to San Diego. And then once I moved to San Diego and kept doing deals, I just kept saving that money, right? So it just allows you to have a lot of freedom and autonomy and not have to like, yeah, dude, it's been, I'm thankful I read that book or listened to some podcast that taught me how to do this because, dude, it is like, yeah, it's very powerful. Like once you do it and you do it consistently.
Definitely. And I love what you said about you don't need to be in business for 5 years, 3 years.
No, dude.
And even if you're not in real estate and you're just getting checks, whatever, do some kind of model of this. And I believe Greg, it's going to change your life. Like it's amazing.
Dude, I guarantee it's so powerful. It doesn't matter what business you're in because you're allocating capital with a disciplined approach. And it's not sexy either. Like sometimes I'll do this and I'll get like a deal and it's like a $20,000 deal, which on the surface seems like a lot of money. And it is if you're new, but you're like, oh man, I'm only putting 3 into my savings account and 2 into my bills account and paying the company $6,000. That's not sexy. Like I'm putting $400 in my fund account, but like the discipline of doing that over time. And then when you do that with $100,000 check, you're like, holy shit, I'm putting 30 grand in the bank right now. So it's like that discipline is what allows you to, I think, have financial freedom besides the whole rental income and residual income, which is obviously important, but saving your money is very important too. Like whoever says savers are losers, I disagree with you because like just because cash gets a terrible return in the bank doesn't mean it's not valuable in the economy, which it is. Because I don't think you can pay your rent with love or you can't pay your rent with, motivational memes. Like you pay your rent with cash. And if you have liquid cash available, like, I can talk about this for hours, dude.
Yeah, no, that's also, I mean, put this a very simple example. Let's say that you saved up, $200,000 of cash and people were like, oh, but you could have invested each dollar into this and made 8%.
Shenanigans.
But let's say that it's been 3 years, you've had that 200K sitting there and you get this one opportunity to buy this extremely cheap house and you're going to make 100,000.
Yeah.
Well, you just like 6, 8, 10x the 8 or 10% return you would have gotten listening to the other people just for holding the cash. So,
exactly. Liquidity is king, dude. Liquidity is freaking king because you can go out. Like I bought this land out in San Diego area. Dude, not a great. It's like a borderline deal, kind of a risk, whatever. But the guy's doing owner financing, principal only payments for 5 years. Like you can't really go wrong. And I had cash. I put $6,000 down, so it wasn't a ton of money. But like, I had that money in the bank, and I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to freaking do this. Like, it's worth it, And like, so it allows you to do things like that, And it's powerful. No matter, you don't have to be in real estate to do this. Like, you could be in any business or any job, and having this discipline will allow you to have a lot more freedom in your life.
Yeah, Greg, I love that. So one like big question, and then we'll kind of start wrapping this thing up. Dude, what's kind of like what do you see as like your next big play? I know it's Corona. I know there's things going on. I know we spoke about rentals and all that, but like, what is like Greg excited about that? Like it's like, yeah, this is like a big play I'm going to work on. It could be a project. It could be something.
Yeah, bro.
What do you think?
I love it. Cracking the internet marketing code, dude. I've been freaking hacking away at that thing for a couple of months now. Just, and it's not become a billionaire overnight by not doing anything. It's like getting good at the principles of digital marketing to then go out and do whatever I want with it. And it's, so it's just like I did with real estate, like learning how to do direct mail and talk to sellers. It's getting good at providing value to build a list, whether that's on social or email, and then coming up with something that's genuinely valuable that will be 10 times more valuable than the price they pay, and being able to offer that to people to truly help them, and getting into some, some information marketing, and really kind of getting that dialed in first. And then from there, maybe doing some copywriting stuff for people. But that's a little different. That's a little more kind of time intensive, but kind of cracking the digital marketing code to hopefully be able to have to have that be another revenue stream for me. So I can still do my flips, still do my wholesale, still do my internet marketing stuff. And then ultimately have so much surplus cash every single month from that system I just described on the show to be able to like knock down 3 to 4 BRRRR properties a month without having to flinch because I have that money moving and turning at such a quick rate. I'm able to build my net worth by 90 grand a month when I have the BRRRR system cranking, because if I'm acquiring 3 properties a month with $30,000 equity per property, once that machine is running, my net worth's going up 90 grand a month because I'm building that rental portfolio from the private money, from the saving the money, from the income coming in from the other businesses, and ultimately riding that thing to financial freedom. And then once I'm there, figuring out what I want to do next. Do I want to just keep doing the real estate thing? But always kind of looking at the new things that are not completely different from what I've done. Like internet marketing is not completely opposite of real estate. A lot of the principles are the same. And that gets me excited. I have a type A quick start personality, which is good and terrible. So I'm not good at like doing the same thing over and over and over again. I'm like a ready, fire, aim guy, terrible with details, like can't even get on the phone for more than 10 minutes with like project managers and stuff. Cause I just want the deal done. Like, yeah, it's good and bad for me. So that's kind of what I've been up to, brother.
I love that. Yeah, and something I picked up from there, and I wonder if other people picked it up. I noticed how, although I asked you, like, what are you excited about? You ran through that, which I love the online marketing stuff. I've actually been studying a little bit. I would love to jive with you after about it. Yeah. But I noticed how you started getting pretty detailed about the money and the equity. So you've thought about that. You put that down on paper, like, that's dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I picked that up, like the $90K per month. Like, this is something that has been architected. Greg has his bedroom, like.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I do my homework, bro. I know, like, the system. Like, and that's the thing. Like, I appreciate you kind of mentioning that, because that's something I'm big on, is like getting specific on what I want. The trouble with me is that I'm like a visionary guy. So I can build the system initially, but then to run the system, I'm so bad. That doesn't, like, it's not incongruent with like my natural behaviors. Like, you know what I mean? So I have VAs who work for me who implement a lot of the stuff that I do. So I try to simplify it. But yeah, you got to get clear on what you want. Like, to people listening, like if you're like, I want to do one wholesale deal a month and make 10 grand a month, that is your objective and your target, and you can work backwards from there. Yeah. But if you just want to make more money, that you could go on the street and get $1 from a homeless person and you just made more money. So you have to just get specific on it,
Good shit, man. I love that. It's always a good conversation with Greg. Dude, thinking big, man. And we've been friends for a little while, so I love it. Greg, man, how can people follow you? Or you got the Pave the Way podcast. Tell us a little about your website. How can people follow you and reach out to you?
Yeah, totally, man. Plug in. So Grego37 on Instagram. I've been recently putting like a video a day on there, man. Just been with this Corona thing. I'm trying to help a lot of people, because I think a lot of people
are. Your book reviews too. I listened to this. It's helpful, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah. So Instagram, put out a lot of content on there. Pave the Way podcast. You can check that one out, pavethewaypodcast.com, or you can just go to Apple and look it up, or any of those big media outlets. Be happy to connect with you and just provide as much value as I possibly can, and stay in touch with people who want to get into the game, or, you don't have to necessarily want to go be a real estate investor, but if you just want to get into, thinking a little differently, maybe kind of testing out some entrepreneurial routes, it doesn't matter what your business is, but I'm obviously passionate about the stuff, as Raul is, and we're genuinely here to like provide value and help people. And then the rest will always take care of itself.
I love it. And it's so good, man, because me or Greg, we don't have all the answers, and we're not preaching that. Just at the start of like this crazy journey, but and that's why I'm sure we both interview high achievers, because they have so much insight. And so definitely follow Greg, really genuine guy, and just really good deals, man. What are the markets that you're buying in again, just in case someone listens to this?
So we got the Hudson Valley area of New York. So like Orange County, Rockland County, Westchester County, New York, Dutchess County, New York. That's like near New York City. San Diego, I don't do too much out here, but I've done business out here. So I look at something. And then Cedar Rapids, Iowa, I'm doing some marketing over there, mostly for testing purposes, to really see what my cost per deal could be down there. And I'm still pretty early in that. And then Tulsa, Oklahoma, we got a couple properties going on over there, just mostly for testing. Like, and then if the testing is successful, I'll start deploying more marketing money down there, because I can turn properties. So, those are kind of all over the country here. Yeah. It's a little confusing, but if you got stuff over there, I'd be happy to look at it.
Yeah. So take out your notepad and write down all the markets that. But Greg, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you again coming on. Guys, thank you for listening to this. If you're listening to this on iTunes, feel free to check me out on YouTube or on the website, raulbulufa.com. And I'll catch you on the next episode.